So the way I think about loot is stupid simple because everything goes into 3 buckets. Why 3, you ask? Because that's the highest number I can count to. So no more than that. All you got to do is keep, recycle, and sell. That's it. Now, the first bucket that is keep this. This is the stuff that feels like progression. If the item name sounds like it belongs in a machine, it probably does. Things like drivers, scanners, modules, power units, anything with words like accelerator, sensor, alloy, component, firing core, that kind of jazz. So you got to kind of change your mindset right here. You're not keeping things because you need them now. You're keeping them because future you is going to need them all at once. That's where I cooked myself early on. Like, I remember I sold an advanced electrical component, and I also dumped a sensor too because I'm like, I'm nowhere near this workstation. This is just clutter at this point. And then I finally unlock it, and the game goes, oh, perfect. Now give me that part again and again and again. And it's just like rage baiting you at that point. You already cooked yourself because it's like, oh, now I gotta go do 6 raids just to find that again. Now here's a small side note. There's a couple of different phases that you're gonna find yourself in. So there's gonna be early game, mid game, and late game. So basically, in early game, I sell way more aggressively than I really want to because storage is small, the credits matter a lot, and most of the workstations aren't even unlocked yet, so half the stuff you're picking up literally has no purpose right now. Like early on, selling decorative junk is always safe. Stuff like watches, statuettes, posters, random trinkets, music tapes, things that clearly exist to look nice and really nothing else. You're not breaking your progression by selling that. You're just turning all that clutter into something you can use, like money. And even some basic recyclables early are fine to move on from. Like if I'm sitting on a couple stacks of really common junk and I need space or credits, I'm not going to lose sleep over selling or salvaging that early. I can get it back. It's everywhere. So if you're early and selling things thinking, I might need this later, you probably will, but right now you also need money and space, so having that trade-off, completely normal. Now, let's talk about mid-game. So this is where patterns start showing up. You unlock more stations, and suddenly you notice the same materials popping up again and again across upgrades. That's when I stop selling anything that looks remotely specific, and I try to keep a buffer, not hoarding everything, just enough to not constantly refarm the same parts. Now, late game is where things change even more. So earlier on, upgrades are flexible. If you mess something up, you can pivot and work on something else. Late game, those systems start overlapping. You got multiple upgrades, projects, even expedition prep, all start asking for the same specific parts like they know that you have fewer of them. A good example is stuff like Sentinel firing cores or Exodus modules. Early on, they feel like one-off upgrades, but later they show up in workstation upgrades and expedition preps and side projects at the same time. So that's why resource tracking matters late game. If something is tracked, I don't sell it, I don't recycle it, I don't even think about it. Now, while I have still gotten your attention, if you guys want more guides like this or have ideas on what you want me to talk about in terms of Arc Raiders or even things that you want me to rant about, please leave them in the comments down below. And also like and subscribe to let me know that you're still watching. And yeah, so thank you for staying up until now. Okay, so now we're on to the next bucket, which is recycle this. This is all the stuff that looks like it fell out of a garage. Broken radios, damaged electronics, household junk, old arc tech that looks half melted, stuff like cooling coils, filters, brackets, torn fabrics, random plastic and metal stuff. So you're not keeping these for what they are. You're keeping them because they turn into base materials. This is crafting fuel. Now, important distinction here. Recycling at your base gives you like actual returns that you want, but salvaging mid-raid gives you way less. If you're salvaging mid-raid, it's basically because you need space or you're cooked, which is fine. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Just try not to make it a habit. So if the item feels generic, mass-produced, like a Taylor Swift album, then it probably belongs in this bucket. And this also ties into another important rule: time versus value. Not all items are created equally, nor feel equal to lose. That's probably a better way to put it. So if something is easy to refarm, I'm way more willing to recycle or sell it. But if something only shows up once every 5 raids, I'm probably going to be a little more hesitant. This is how us hardcore gamers think. It's not about what's rare necessarily, but what costs time. Okay, on to bucket 3. Sell this. So this is the stress relief bucket. These are the things that exist purely to become money. Trinkets, collectibles, decorative junk, watches. What else? Jewelry, posters, music tapes, statues, weird keepsakes. So if it sounds like something you would put on a shelf instead of inside a robot, then sell it. These almost never break down into useful materials. They do not feed upgrades, and they just waste space. So selling this is not a mistake. It's just doing the right thing. It's also important to untrain yourself to think that colors mean rarity. Like green doesn't mean it's trash, and purple doesn't mean that something is untouchable. Color only tells you how often something drops. It doesn't tell you how annoying it's going to be when you need it later. Here's what I mean. So you'll have something like wires or metal parts, green items, super boring, easy to ignore. So people sell them without thinking about them early on. Then later, you realize that those same green items show up in multiple upgrades across different workstations over and over again. And all of a sudden, that boring green thing is everywhere, and you're constantly short on it. At the same time, you'll find like a purple item, and it looks like something that's important because it's purple, and you keep waiting. You hold on to it forever because you're waiting for its moment to shine, but that moment just doesn't come. Sometimes it's tied to one very specific upgrade, and until you unlock that exact thing, it's just kind of chilling there. So when people ask, should I keep this because it's purple? That's the wrong question. The real question is, how many systems does this item actually touch? And it actually comes back to the bucket framework, right? It's like I thought this through. So if an item feeds into multiple systems, quests, upgrades, crafting, it belongs in the keep bucket, no matter how boring or green it looks. If it's rare but only feeds into one very specific thing you can't even access yet, that rarity doesn't save it from being a later type decision. So once you start thinking in buckets instead of colors, these decisions just come naturally. You're not guessing anymore, you're just sorting based on how the game actually uses things. And yeah, that's basically it. If you've already sold something important and want to warn the rest of us before we make the same mistakes, the comments are open. Consider it a public service. And if there's a guide or video you want next, something you want me to explain so you don't have to learn it the painful way, let me know. And if this actually helped, you can like the video or subscribe so I know this wasn't a waste of everyone's time. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Go clean your stash, and I'll see you next time.